All right, Shalom. First and foremost, call Halal Yamla, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem HaRachakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone that I learned this truth from. And also peace and salutations to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. And pretty much in this video, this is going to be a prophecy watch type video, if you will. Okay, where I'm going to be going into some information on recent news that's been going on throughout the internet, of ICE, ICE beginning to go from door to door with their operations, and you've even had certain brothers even doing videos responding to this information, all right, of ICE going door to door, all right. And as you see here on the screen, this is a video from Jesse Dollamore, all right, from YouTube. Okay, going into recent information that's been coming out lately of ICE beginning to go from door to door here in the United States. All right, and as you can see, the time of this video, all right, 10 minutes 44 seconds, 144. Call all Yom La Yahweh Shemashai. Hey, because with Trump and with these ICE agents have going on in these latter days, especially going forward into 2026, going forward until Yahweh Shai comes back, hey, things are getting ready to get even more crazier. Okay, things were already crazy throughout the year 2025. Okay, the first year of Trump getting back in office. Okay, you best believe 2026 going forward, things are going to continue to get more and more crazy, more and more worse. All right, and as well, more and more prophetic. Okay, until Yahweh Shai comes back. All right, and so I'll just let this video play, and we'll listen to a little bit of it. All right, bring out some scriptures, and Lord willing, this video will be edifying. All right, and mind you, this is fair use, fair use. Okay, I'm not using this video to make any money off of it, nor is that my intention. Okay, I'm just strictly using this video for educational purposes. All right, and so without further ado, I'll let this play.
He is a lapdog for that guy he called America's Hitler, who he's now on board serving America as Hitler. He also did a Fox News interview.
Because Trump, okay, he's the cruel Lord that we read of in the scriptures, okay, that we always bring out in Isaiah the 19th chapter. All right, Isaiah 19 in verse 4 says, "And the Egyptians," okay, and the Egypt that is speaking of in Isaiah 19 is talking about the modern day Egypt, okay, which is America, Babylon the Great, all right, also known as spiritual Sodom and spiritual Egypt, as you read of in Revelation the 11th chapter and the 8th verse, okay, where it talks about that great city that will be spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, okay, that's talking about here in America, Babylon the Great, okay, this is the modern day spiritual Egypt, all right, and so it says right here again, Isaiah 19 verse 4, "And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts." Okay, so the Lord has given this modern day Egypt, which is America, into the hands of a cruel Lord, a fierce king, okay, which we, the hopeful elect, clearly see is Nero 47, all right, DG Donald Trump, okay.
On board serving America's Hitler. He also did a Fox News interview yesterday. And he said some very alarming things.
All right, hold on. My computer's kind of acting up a little bit. Just bear with me for a second.
About this mass deportation operation that's running all across the country right now. And he framed it, one, he likes to frame this as a law enforcement operation. It is not. It is not.
Come on now. All right, just bear with me. My computer is kind of acting up a little bit. All right, let's see if it'll play again.
Deportation operation that's running all across the country right now. And he framed it, one, he likes to frame this as a law enforcement operation. It is not. It is not illegal to exist in the country without permission from the Secretary of State. What is illegal, what is a misdemeanor, is to cross the border illegally. But you're just being here in the country existing, there is no crime that's being committed. So this is not a law enforcement operation. But he says something about going door to door. And he used that particular phrase more than once yesterday. And I think it should be ringing alarm bells in the minds of every American who hears it. Because what exactly does that mean? We'll talk about it after the clip.
YouTube ads. All right, just bear with me for a second. Let's try to bypass this ad real quick. Come on now. All right, y'all just bear with me for a second. I'm trying to get past this YouTube ad real quick.
Make a song from your weirdest idea. Describe the song in a few words.
Esau, man. This man gotta go, man. Esau, man.
On board serving America's Hitler. He also did a Fox News interview yesterday. And he said some very alarming things about this mass deportation operation that's running all across the country right now. And he framed it, one, he likes to frame this as a law enforcement operation. It is not. It is not illegal to exist in the country without permission from the Secretary of State. What is illegal, what is a being here in the country existing, there is no crime that's being committed. So this is not a law. Door. And he used that particular phrase more than once yesterday. And I think it should be ringing alarm bells in the minds of every American who hears it. Because what exactly does that mean? We'll talk about it after the clip.
What we've done is actually gotten 2.5 million illegal aliens out without any of the really big marquee things that we've been working on. That was just simple willpower.
Y'all heard what that just said? All right, let's play that again. Let's listen to that part again. Listen to what he said.
Is actually gotten.
Hold up.
That mean? We'll talk about it after the clip.
What we've done is actually gotten 2.5 million illegal aliens out without any of the really big marquee things that we've been working on. That was just simple.
See what it just said? So far, all right, from the beginning of 2025 up until now, early, January 2026, they've gotten, under the Trump administration, they've gotten 2.5, legal immigrants deported out of the country without using, as he pretty much went into, any real, matter of fact, I'll play it again.
After the clip.
What we've done is actually gotten 2.5 million illegal aliens out without any of the really big marquee things that we've been working on. That was just simple.
Okay, so they got 2.5 million immigrants out of the country without using any, real marquee things that they've been ramping up behind the scenes, basically. Okay, so you got to ask yourself, all right, if they've been able to get out, millions of immigrants out of the country within, 1 year, without using any real, marquee things, weapons, whatever it may be, then exactly what do these ICE agents and ultimately what does Esau Edom really have, behind closed doors, so to speak, to really deal with the so-called immigration situation here throughout Babylon and Great America? Okay, we know they have Palantir, all right, where they're going to be taking it a step further by using AI, okay, to find migrants and criminals and illegals and things like that. All right, they're going to be using robot police and robot dogs. All right, and Esau got some things tucked behind the scenes that he's getting ready to unleash. All right, in these upcoming weeks, months, okay, few years, under this cruel Lord that Babylon the Great has been ruled over. All right. Hold up. All right, so let's go back a little bit again, play it again.
Aliens out without any of the really big marquee things that we've been working on. That was just simple willpower and the President of the United States coming in and saying, this is done. I think we're going to see those deportation numbers ramp up as we get more and more people online, working for ICE, going door to door and making sure that if you're an illegal alien, you've got to get out of this country. And if you want to come back, apply through the proper channel.
As they ramp up.
And mind you, a lot of these migrants that have been trying to go through the proper channel, right? Trying to get their self, legalized the right way, get their paperwork. A lot of them, these situations, as many of your brothers have seen throughout the internet, all right, TikTok, whatever it may be, okay, where you have, certain migrants, all right, mainly amongst the northern tribes, they'll be in the actual courtroom, trying to get themselves legalized, trying to get their citizenship and whatnot, getting their papers. And then as they're walking out of the court session, after they're finished, you literally have ICE agents lined up down the hallway, right? Mask on their face, shades on, okay, ready to grab them up and arrest them right after their court session of trying to get their citizenship, okay. So even when these migrants, especially amongst our people, the northern tribes, right, the so-called Latin tribes, are gaining their citizenship the right way, they're still being detained and arrested by these ICE agents. Okay, and now as we just heard from J.D. Vance's mouth himself, now they're getting ready to go from door to door. All right.
The employment. Listen, I've already talked at length. It's sickening the caliber of individual, or the lack of character and caliber of individual, that they are ramping up to go door to door in America. People who are functionally illiterate, who cannot pass open book tests to cover the things, to demonstrate that they understand the concepts of law, of not violating people's Fourth Amendment rights, of Fifth Amendment rights, of Sixth Amendment rights, of 14th Amendment rights.
Right, because ultimately, under this cruel Lord, okay, hey, pretty much Trump was ultimately set up, okay, to not, put America first or make America great again, as these red-blooded Edomites were thinking he was all about. Okay, no, this guy Trump was ultimately set up in office to further the collapse of Babylon the Great America, and ultimately usher America in to the NWO agenda of the elites of Esau Edom. Okay, and by doing that, it would come with, of course, accelerating the collapse of the economy, collapsing the dollar. All right, accelerating the isolation of America. Okay. Angering America's enemies more and more, Russia, China, Iran, okay, even, pissing off his own allies amongst the NATO and the EU countries, right, leading America to more isolation, all right, and as well, chipping away at the rights of, the so-called average American, all right, as the scripture says in, as the scripture says in Isaiah 10, all right, Isaiah 10 and verse 1, Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that right grievousness which they have prescribed. All right, and all throughout the year 2025, we've been seeing Trump, issuing forth unrighteous decrees. Executive order after executive order after executive order, right? And it says, verse 2, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. Yeah. So these unrighteous decrees, these different executive orders, right? These draconian measures, okay, we're all about chipping away at against the rights of, the so-called American person, right? And very soon, even including the Edomite, okay? But it's going to start first and foremost with the Lord's people, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And right now, as we've been seeing over 2025, they're chipping away at the rights of, the so-called Latin tribes, Issachar, Ephraim, Manasseh, all right, Asher, okay, because when you go into it, all right, when you go into various studies, it's been shown and proven that the majority of these northern tribes has been arrested by ICE over the past year, okay, aren't even criminals, okay, haven't committed a crime, all right, not breaking the laws, all right, and a good number of these migrants, so-called migrants that's been deported or arrested by ICE, right, were actual legal American citizens, okay, that's been living here for years, all right, married, with having children, their children going to school, working these different jobs, right, working for these different farmers across America, okay, but, as this guy Trump was put in office by the left-hand side, he's slowly but surely chipping away at, all right, against the rights of especially our people, all right, Israel, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, but ultimately he's going to be chipping away at the rights of all these so-called American people, including the Edomite, all right, these low-level so-called middle-class, poor-class Edomites, okay, who are all about, Trump and thinking he was going to put America first and make America great again and restore, the middle class of America, make the so-called, make the Edomite in America great again, this and the third. All right, these Edomites, especially these MAGA Edomites, are getting ready to find out the hard way that this guy Trump wasn't put in office for their interests. Okay, though he came with all these fair speeches and these broken promises in this and the third, but he was ultimately put in office to do the bidding in the interest of the elites of Esau Edom. Okay.
And the concepts of law, of not violating people's Fourth Amendment rights, of Fifth Amendment rights, of Sixth Amendment rights, of 14th Amendment rights. And then he says that they're going to go door to door. Does that mean that on my block, they're going to come to my house and knock on my door, kick in my door looking for illegal immigrants to arrest, to kidnap, to send to internment camps? To deport to countries or continents they've never even been to before? Is that what he intends to have us believe, that it's a door-to-door operation?
Oh, God damn it. Hold up. All right, bear with me for a second while I bypass this second ad.
If you saw the news, but Fox News is claiming President Trump is declining.
Come on now.
Ford serving America's Hitler. He also did a Fox News interview yesterday, and he said some. Let's
go right here.
Rights. And then he says that they're going to go door to door. Does that mean that on my block, they're going to come to my house and knock on my door, kick in my door looking for illegal immigrants to arrest, to kidnap, to send to internment camps, to deport to countries or continents they've never even been to before? Is that what he intends to have us believe, that it's a door-to-door operation? Because I can tell you, it is alarming that the party for years, that we won't take this tyranny, these jackbooted thugs, these armed agents of the state. And then as soon as the armed agents of the state come and start usurping powers, drawing in powers for themselves that don't actually exist, all of those MAGA patriots are silent. Or clapping, applauding, cheering this on. Because it was never about tyranny. It was about the oppression of others for them. And that's exactly
right. Because, as we've been seeing over this past year, okay, pretty much from, since day one when Trump got back in office, all right, we've been seeing him do nothing but rub elbows with, technocrats, all right, small hats, Netanyahu, okay, sending billions of dollars in aid to to the state of Israel, right? To Argentina, the president of Argentina, who's a small hat, by the way, okay? All we've been seeing Trump and his administration do was pretty much, kiss up and kiss ass to the other small hats, all right? And do things and make moves that are not in the best interest of the average American, including the average American Edomite. But as long as Trump, with these ICE agents, continue to put hell upon Jake, right? The northern tribes, niggas, okay, so-called Hispanics, Issachar and the tribes, these American red-blooded Edomites, they're all for Trump. They're still drunk off the Trump juice, the MAGA juice, okay? As long as he's, continuing to put hell on niggas and Hispanics, okay? But meanwhile, these average MAGA Edomites, they're not paying attention to, to things like Project Stargate, okay? What Trump is getting ready to do with 6G, all right? Palantir and linking up with these technocrats, right? And pretty much rolling out, okay, AI infrastructure all throughout America for the purpose of, mass surveillance, biometric technology, right? Micro C-hips, okay? They're not paying attention to what the Trump making those types of moves, because all they're worried about is just Trump putting hell on niggas, okay? Ultimately to feel better about themselves, okay? To feel better about themselves, because the average Edomite ultimately knows that he's through, okay? They want to point the blame at everybody else, labeling everybody as migrants, and looking at the migrants as the reason for why they're catching hell and why they're poor in their own kingdom, right? Looking to point the finger at niggas and Jake, blaming Jake for the reason for high crime across America, right? Fraud, okay? Blaming the Somalians, blaming so-called Muslims for all the problems across America, so-called black and so-called brown people, right? But meanwhile, okay, they're not looking at and pointing the finger at their corrupt leaders, their billionaires, their own president themselves, the small hats that are really at the forefront of the reason why America is collapsing and the average Edomite in America is pretty much losing it, okay? So as long as these ICE agents are putting hell upon Jake and putting hell upon, so-called Hispanics and niggas, this and the third, these Edomites are all for it, okay, until these ICE agents and these federal agents come to their doorsteps, all right, and do them, all right, what they're doing to Jake, okay?
Exactly what is being done right now by this Donald Trump administration. Now, Fox News interview out of the way. Let's go to the White House press briefing room where he doubled down on the door-to-door comment.
On duty, or has he been placed on leave, on administrative leave, and what really was the target of the operation on Wednesday? ICE operation on Wednesday?
Well, first of all, it was a legitimate law enforcement operation. We were going door to door to try to find criminal illegal aliens and deport them from the United States of America, because if you come to our country illegally in violation of our immigration laws, then we have the mandate, and in fact we have the legal duty to enforce those immigration laws. Whether he's been placed on administrative leave, I don't know the answer to that question. I'd refer to the Department of Homeland Security and they can follow up. I will say, look, I would appreciate everybody saying a prayer for that agent. Look, in the past 6 months, he has been hit twice by a motor vehicle. One time, the first time, it led to over 30 stitches and very serious injuries to his legs. This is a guy who's actually done a very, very important job for the United States of America. He's been assaulted, he's been attacked, he's been injured because of it. He deserves a debt of gratitude, and I think the media prejudging and talking about this guy as if he's a murderer is one of the most disgraceful things I've ever seen from the American media.
Yeah, and he's speaking about that the shooting that took place in up there in Minnesota the other day, where you had this woman, okay, this so-called white woman up there in Minnesota, Renee Good, okay, who got shot by that ICE agent up there in Minnesota. All right, while she was in a vehicle, and right now you have a whole back and forth, throughout the internet of people, okay, justifying the shooter, the ICE agent, and as well, people condemning him, okay, saying that the woman was trying to evade the officers, okay, that she wasn't trying to run them over, right, and ended up getting shot unjustly, okay, in which when you really go into it into that whole situation as a whole, all right, which I was watching Call for an Uprising the other day, speaking on it, okay, it was that whole thing was possibly a staged event within itself, okay, it had the number 33 involved in it. I believe the exact location of that shooting had 33 involved with it. Just same thing with all these other recent shootings. You see the number 33 constantly popping up, the number 6 popping up. All right. There's questions as to why that particular woman, Renee Good, was even parked in the middle of the street diagonally in the first place. Okay. And as well, what were the events that took place before that ICE agent, approached her vehicle, right? So the whole thing, could very well possibly just be another psyop done by Esau Edom on the left-hand side to further, push more division within America, okay? Which is ultimately all going to lead to civil war, which that's all spoken of throughout the scriptures, all right? Sedition, Egyptian versus Egyptian, as it speaks of in Isaiah 19, all right? But
Yeah.
Two things, obviously. I've already talked about the door-to-door thing. A woman has been killed, a mother of 3. Renee Nicole Good was gunned down in her car by a federal agent, and he doesn't want any prayers for her. No prayers for her children. No prayers for the surviving family members of her. No. Pray for the agent. Pray for the gunman. If you've watched the clip, and I normally do not recommend people watch police shooting videos. That has been kind of my whole thing in the past because it's trauma-inducing. But when the government is willy-nilly murdering citizens in the street, you have to watch it. You must pay attention because this will not be the first citizen killed at the end of a gun that is possessed and fired by a federal agent. It will not be the last time. They are killing citizens and then asking you to pray for the killer.
Factor me.
And I'll just leave it at there. Okay. And again, this is from the YouTube channel Jesse Dollamore. Okay, and again, this is fair use. Okay, I'm not making any money off of that video, nor is that my intention. Okay, I'm just strictly using that video for educational purposes. All right, but as you pretty much heard from from those last few seconds of of the points that he was making. Okay, what we saw with that shooting up there in Minnesota the other day. Okay, that's not going to be the last time that we see federal agents, including these ICE agents, all right, open fire on legal American citizens, okay, and pretty much often legal American citizens, okay, because hey, as we've been bringing out over these past weeks, days, months, all right, as Esau, as we're at the end of Esau's world, okay, and he's seeking to bring forth chaos, all right, all across America and all throughout the world to come down with this left hand order, okay, as it says in Revelation 12 and verse 12, it says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he had but a short time left." Yeah, and when we see from these ICE agents, just one small example, okay, just one small example of Esau's great wrath that he's getting ready to come with. Okay, he's getting ready to come with a sword after first and foremost our people, okay, Israel, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, but also as well, that sword is also going to be extended to all these people that have mingled across America, Babylon the Great, including the average everyday Edomite, okay, including these MAGA Edomites, all right, that are watching these ICE agents do all these arrests, okay, do all these things that they're doing to the migrants and legal American citizens, and they're just sitting back, cheering it on, drinking their beer, okay, seeing all this hell that they're putting on so-called Hispanics and niggas, okay, feeling good about themselves. But hey, you Edomites, just wait, okay, because hey, that sword is getting ready to come upon your head as well, all right. Esau's great wrath, the great wrath from your own leaders, including your own president, the cruel Lord himself, is getting ready to be extended to you Edomites as well. All right, and let's get this in. Let's go to Second Esdras. All right, because hey, what these ICE agents are doing across America, all right, especially towards our people. Okay, that's all prophecy at the end of the day. Okay, this is all spoken of in the scriptures. All right, let's make this bigger. This is Second Ezra 16. Second Ezra 16, and I'll start at verse 68. It says, "For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you." Okay, Esau coming down great wrath, as we just read, right? And it says, "And they shall take away certain of you, and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols." Okay, meaning what? They're gonna be arresting Jake. Okay, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, which we've already been seeing them do that to the northern tribes. But hey, very soon we're gonna start seeing these ICE agents coming after the southern tribes as well. Okay, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. All right, and especially as we're going to continue reading down, all right, these things are ultimately going to come to us, the hopeful elect, the men of the Lord, all right, the remnant. Okay, and mind you as well, this guy J.D. Vance, all right, recently said that these ICE agents have immunity. Okay, let's look that up real quick. All right, let's see here. Let's go right here. All right, so this is from Newsweek.com, and as you see the title, it says J.D. Vance says ICE agent has absolute immunity after Minneapolis shooting. Okay. Says let me close this out. It says, Vice President J.D. Vance defended the ICE agent who fatally shot a woman Wednesday in Minneapolis, saying Jonathan Ross, okay, who's the says the officer involved on the incident, has absolute immunity and was, quote, doing his job. Okay. So these ICE agents, all right, when they, do these shootings and do these arrests, okay, even if it's done unlawfully, all right, these people pretty much have immunity, okay, which, what does the word immunity means? All right. It says the state or quality of being resistant to a particular infectious disease pathogen. It says let's go to the let's go right here where it's used in a noun sense. It says protection or exemption from something, especially against an obligation or penalty. Okay, so basically being protected or exempt from accountability or some type of punishment or judgment for a wrongdoing. Okay, see these ICE agents, as JD Vance pretty much just said, they have immunity. Okay, immunity from, all right, the things that they do, right? Just grabbing people up, okay, separating the families, offing people, right? They're just able to do whatever they will, okay, all under the guise of, tackling immigration, okay, enforcing deportation, all right, pretty much, arresting anybody that looks, that has a certain look, right, brown skin, or that speak with a particular accent, right, people that fit a particular description, right. And on top of that, they're allowed to cover their faces, have masks over their faces, sunglasses, so that even when people record their doings, you can't really identify them, you can't see how they look, okay, because they have immunity, all right, they're immune from accountability or penalties or judgments for their doings, okay, and so as we read right here, 2nd Ezra 16 and 68 again. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you. All right, Esau with coming down great wrath says, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols. It says, and they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden under foot. Yeah, because when these things come to pass, all right, all this persecution and all right, that's going to be done on our people. Okay, many of our people are going to consent to them. They're going to bow the knee, okay? They're going to be weak in faith because they don't know Yahweh Shema Shai, nor are they rooted in faith to Yahweh Shema Shai. And so many of our people, all right, the 2/3 of our people are going to consent to Esau Edom and his left-hand order, the NWO, all right, and take the MOTB and bow the knee, right? And they ultimately, as I said, they're going to be trodden underfoot because ultimately the Lord is going to destroy the 2/3 of our people that's going to bow the knee and take the charagma. Like it says in the previous chapter from here, 2nd Ezra 15 verse 4, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. All right, they're talking about the 2/3 of our people. But it says, verse 70, for there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. Okay, insurrection means a violent uprising. So in every place in the next cities, as I just said, there's going to be a great insurrection upon those that fear Yahweh Shema Shai, which is who? Us, the hopeful elect, the remnant. Okay. So a major part of Esau's great wrath is not only going to be aimed against our people, the Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, all right, but more especially, he's going to aim a greater portion of his great wrath against us, the hopeful elect. All right, the remnant, those of us that keep the commandments of Yahweh Shema Shai to the best of our ability, right? And as well, those of us that have the testimony of Yahweh Shema Shai, which is what? Prophecy, okay? preaching this everlasting gospel throughout the four corners of the earth. All right, revealing who the wicked is, the man of sin is, Esau, Edom. Okay, exposing this beast system and its image and this NWO agenda that Esau's trying to set up in the earth. Out of order, out of chaos, right? And as well, speaking out against the MOTB, which is the microcia. Okay, those of us that have this knowledge, this understanding, and as well, make our bodies a living sacrifice, preaching this everlasting gospel and preaching this testimony. Okay, you best believe Esau, Edom has has got some things reserved for us. Okay, as it said, a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai, which again, the word insurrection means a violent uprising. Okay, and as it says in verse 71, they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. And when you look at the way these ice ages have been moving, all right, as of 2025 going forward, okay, they've literally been like madmen, sparing none. Okay, just running upon Issachar and northern tribes while they're shopping at the store or in the parking lot going to their vehicles. Okay, snatching them up off of these farms across America, right? Chasing them up the streets. Okay, and even what we saw these ice agents do out there in Chicago, I believe around September or October last year, where they pretty much bust into this apartment complex out there in Chicago. Okay, a complex that had primarily pretty much the tribes. Okay, both northern and southern kingdom, Judah, right? They went into that apartment complex. They literally went from door to door, right? Breaking down the doors of different apartments and different units, right? In the middle of the night, okay? Snatching up the elderly out of those apartments, snatching up children out of those apartments, naked children, tying them up in zip ties, arresting them, all right? Throwing them into the back of U-Haul trucks, okay? We literally saw in that particular weekend, an example of these ICE agents moving like madmen and sparing none, okay, especially upon our people. And guess what? In 2026 going forward, things are going to get even worse. Okay, these ICE agents are going to have more immunity, as we just went into. Okay, they're going to have more green light to of course, not only continuing to come after legal immigrants and whatnot, but also as well come against legal American citizens. Okay, especially these including these everyday Edomites. Okay, here in America, but especially as we're going to, especially against those of us that are the hopeful elect. Okay, that have this word, this testimony, this everlasting gospel, that fear Yahweh Shema Shai. Right, says again, 2 Ezra 16 verse 71. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. Verse 72. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. You see, and that also speaks to as Yahushua told us in let's get Revelation, book of Revelation 2. Revelation 2 and verse 10. This Yahushua is speaking. He says, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Okay, so Yahushua telling us straight up the bat, don't fear these things. Okay, that we're gonna suffer. All right, hey, because we're getting ready to enter into the tightest part of this straight gate, this straight narrow path, as we're on our way to the kingdom. You see that? Persecution, insurrection, right? Getting ready to be accused by the left hand side, be made an offender for a word, right? But Yahushua is telling us, okay, giving us a commandment right here. Revelation 2 and 10 again, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison. All right, the devil referring to Esau, Edom. Okay, not the spiritual demon Satan. All right, but Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Via what? These ICE agents, these different federal agents, National Guard troops, right? Martial law. It says, behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison. Okay, these different detention centers, all right, ICE detention centers, alligator Alcatraz, FEMA camps, concentration camps, right? These things are all prophecy as we're just reading of right here, right? It says that ye may be tried. See that? So these things are going to come upon us, especially us, the hopeful elect. That what? That we may be tried, that our faith may be tried. Okay, to see if we're going to stand stiffly for the name of Yahweh Shema Shai and His gospel and His truth, even to death. You see that? And it says, and He says, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. All right, 10 days representing, perfect amount of time. All right. It says, be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. Okay, so when these ICE agents start, popping up at our doorsteps, okay, door to door, all right, Yahweh Shai is giving a straightforward commandment. Okay, when the devil is going to cast some of us into these different prison camps, all right, give us tribulation. He's telling us straight up, all right, be faithful unto death. Stand stiffly for the name of Yahweh Shema Shai and His gospel, so that what? So that Yahweh Shai can give us a crown of life when He returns. Okay, give the crown of life and the victory to those of us that are of the hopeful elect, that's going to stand stiffly for the name of Yahweh Shema Shai when these times come. All right. It says again, 2nd Ezra 16 and verse 72, for they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. All right. Verse 73, then shall they be known who are my chosen, when they shall be tried as the gold in the fire. You see that? Hey, so, when these ICE agents start going from door to door, and Esau comes down with great wrath, okay, coming like madmen, sparing none. All right. When these devils start coming in like madmen, sparing none, you best believe, okay, as it speaks of in Isaiah 59, you best believe that's going to be the time when the Lord is going to start working for His elect, okay, in the form of what? Lifting up that standard. All right. The Lord's going to start performing the work for His elect, okay, on a whole other level. It says, Isaiah 59 verse 19, so shall they fear the name. Let's see. All right, Isaiah 59 verse 19, so shall they fear the name of the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai from the west. Okay, and that's where we're at right now. Okay, the Western Hemisphere, Babylon the Great America, which is where the main bulk of the 12 tribes of Israel are dwelling at in these outer days. But more importantly, here in Babylon the Great, the main bulk of the elect of the nation of Israel are dwelling at in these outer days. It says, so shall they fear the name of the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai from the west, and His glory from the rising of the sun, which is the east. Okay, because the elect are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, north, south, east, and west. It says, when the enemy shall come in like a flood, door to door, right? Martial law, okay, with great wrath. It says, the Spirit of the Lord Yahweh shall lift up a standard against him. See that? So that's how the Lord's going to make known who are His chosen when Esau comes down great wrath, by lifting up a standard for the elect. Okay, and we know a part of that standard is going to include, as it reads in Daniel 12 and 1. Daniel 12 and 1, all right, the time of the end, it says, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, all right, Jacob's trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book, okay, the book of life. And there's only the elect's names that are written in a book of life, okay, before the foundation of the heaven and earth. So as we just saw right here, Daniel 12 and 1, it's going to be like a time, all right, Jacob's trouble is going to be like a time, all right, such as never was since there was a nation, okay, even to that same time. And things are going to get so bad and so troublesome to where part of that standard that the Lord's going to lift up for His elect against our enemies is going to include the Lord sending the Archangel Michael and the holy angels on the right hand side to defend and protect the elect. Okay, That's a part of the standard that's coming for those of us that's of the hopeful elect, that fear the name of Yahweh Shema Shai, that preaches everlasting gospel, that make our bodies a living sacrifice, right? Part of the standard that the Lord's going to lift up for us, the hopeful elect, is, sending the holy angels, including the archangel Michael, to help and protect us during these times. Okay? These are all how the Lord is going to make known who are chosen. Okay? Divine intervention. You see that? And as well, we also know that another aspect of the Lord lifting up the standard for the elect is giving certain brothers spiritual powers. Okay? The power to perform miracles, the power to to do healings. Okay? The power to strike certain of our enemies with blindness. You see that? Hey, that's all coming. Okay, as this ministry of the hopeful elect is getting ready to go from glory to glory. Okay, miracles are coming on the right hand side, just as miracles are getting ready to come from the left hand side, right? Through Esau, Edom's left hand powers, signs and lying wonders, right? Pseudo miracles through AI and technology and 6G, right? Hey, if Esau, Edom is getting ready to come with miracles on the left hand side, right? Well, how much more is Yahweh Shema Shai going to come with miracles for the elect on the right hand side? You see that? Lifting up the standard, sending the archangel Michael and the holy angels to protect the elect, okay? Perform divine intervention and make sure that we have provision and food and shelter and the things that we're going to need to endure to the end. You see that? It says, 2 Ezra 16, verse 73 again, then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire. Okay? Because what? Our faith is going to be tried like gold. Because even as it speaks of in, was that 1 Peter 1 and 7, I want to say. Let's go to it real quick. Yep. This is 1 Peter chapter 1. And start at verse 6. It says, wherein ye greatly rejoice, though now for a season, if need be, ye are in heaviness through manifold temptations. Okay, let's read that in NLT. Well, matter of fact, let's do this. Let's parallel with this. All right. So 1 Peter 1 verse 6 in the NLT, it says, so be truly glad. There is wonderful joy ahead, even though you have to endure many trials for a little while. You see that? Hey, because although, things are getting ready to get more and more bitter as the straight gate is getting ready to get even straighter. Hey, as brothers have been saying as of lately, okay, though things are getting ready to get bitter, but as well, things are getting ready to get sweet, okay, for the elect. All right. Because, hey, as it speaks of in 2 Ezra, the 7th chapter, okay, the righteous are getting ready to go through the straight narrow path, but shall hope to see the wide, roughly paraphrasing it. Because at the end of all these tribulations and troubles and Esau's great wrath and all of his, his sword and things that he's getting ready to come with, hey, we the hopeful elect still have hope at the end of the day, right? It says, verse 7 in the KJV, all right, 1 Peter 1 and 7, that the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perisheth, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Yahweh Shai. You see that? So all these things, okay, Esau coming down great wrath, all right, as madmen sparing none, okay, casting some of us into prison, these ICE agents going from door to door, all these things all ultimately for the purpose of, all right, our faith, okay, us the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel, our faith being tried like gold in a fire, okay. And if you know anything about, jewelry and refining gold and silver and precious metals, pretty much a refiner, all right, refines gold or silver, okay, in the fire, and until what? Until he's able to see his image within that piece of gold or silver. And that's likened to how Yahweh Shema Shai is going to try the faith of us, the hopeful elect. Okay, put us through the fire. Okay, put us through great insurrection, right? mass persecution and mass accusation from the left hand side until what? To see if we're going to stand stiffly for the name of Yahweh Shema Shai's sake, okay, be faithful unto death, so that the Lord can see his image within us, all right? So that the Lord can see his image within us through our faith being tried like fire, all right? In fact, I read 1 Peter 1:7 in the NLT. It says, these trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold. Though your faith is far more precious than mere gold. So when your faith remains strong through many trials, it will bring you much praise and glory and honor on the day when Yahushua Mashiach is revealed to the whole world. Yeah, because our faith, okay, when it's tried and ultimately tested and gets the victory, okay, it's going to lead us to receiving praise and honor and glory at the return of Yahushua. It's going to lead to us receiving that crown of life that Yahushua promised us, okay, if we remain faithful unto death, as we read of in Revelation 2:10, right? And so going back to 2nd Ezra 16:73 again, it says, then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as gold in the fire. Verse 74, hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord. Okay, the beloved is the elect. Okay, the house of David, us the hopeful elect, the remnant. It says, hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord Yahweh. Behold, the days of trouble are at hand. All right, Jacob's trouble, but I will deliver you from the same. Be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for Yahweh Shema Shai is your guide. See that? So it has one thing to remember as well. Okay, despite all the great wrath and persecutions and anger that Esau is getting ready to come at us with, Yahweh Shema Shai is going to be in control of all things, and is going to be guiding us and be with us, the hopeful elect, the whole time. All right, because mind you, as the scripture speaks about, the Most High being omnipotent. All right, let's get that real quick. So now Revelation 19. Revelation 19 and verse 6. It says, and I heard as it were the voice of a great multitude, and as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of mighty thunderers, saying, Hallelujah. Okay, it's pretty much when you're reading this chapter, this is John the Revelator pretty much seeing the elect get the victory over Babylon the Great. Okay, and as well looking down at the destruction of Babylon the Great. All right, from the heavens, from the chariot. All right, and it says the latter part of verse 6, for the Lord Yahweh omnipotent reigneth. Okay, and when we look up this word omnipotent or omnipotent, okay,
Strong's G 3841 Pantocrator. Pantocrator.
all right, and it means he who holds Salakia, he who holds sway over all things. See that? So omnipotent, as we're seeing right here, means he who holds sway over all things, and that's who? The Most High Yahweh. Okay, the Most High Yahweh is omnipotent. He holds sway over all things. Okay, because all things that come to pass are all according to His word via prophecy. Because like it says in Isaiah 46, the Lord had declared the end from the beginning. So all the way since the beginning, before the foundation of the heaven and the earth, the Lord already declared, all right, that Esau be ruling in his latter days, and that the latter part of his kingdom, as more and more of the elect will be waking up, okay, and as the Lord will be bringing down Esau's kingdom and revealing him and exposing him, that Esau would ultimately accuse, point the finger, and blame everybody for the reason he's going down, to justify what? Crashing out and coming down great wrath, and especially coming down great wrath against his people, the Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and especially coming down great wrath upon the elect of the nation of Israel, those of us that are of the remnant, the hopeful elect, okay, and seeking to take away our lives and go from door to door, right? But ultimately what? All right, the Most High Yahweh is omnipotent, okay, holds sway over all things, okay. Ultimately what? The Lord Yahweh Bashmal Shai is in control of all things, okay, even in control of Esau, Edom, all right. So this devil is not going to have any power to, to take our lives and, have his way with us unless Yahweh Bashmal Shai ordains it, all right. And according to prophecy, hey, we the hopeful elect already have the victory over this devil Esau, Edom. Even in death, okay, even in death, the elect have the victory over Esau, Edom, and his beast system, and his image and his mark. You see that? Because what? The Lord holds sway over all these things, omnipotent, okay. And the scriptures even says in the book of Psalm 68 that the issues of death come from the Lord, roughly paraphrasing it. All right, and as we see, the word omnipotent also goes into Almighty, okay. Because ultimately, what does Almighty means? It means, having all might, all right, all power, right? And the Most High Yahweh through His begotten Son has those attributes, has those abilities, right? All powerful, all knowing, okay, omnipotent, holding sway over all things, controlling all things, all right, even controlling the issues of death. You see that? So, no matter what Esau Edom comes with us, comes at us with, all right, his sword, his palantir, AI, all right, martial law, these ICE agents, okay, hey, Yahweh Shema Shah is going to be in control over all things, guiding us the hopeful elect through it all, okay, using the holy angels, the archangel Michael, right, lifting up a standard for us, okay, performing divine intervention, performing miracles for us, right? Making sure we have food and provision and shelter, and ultimately making sure that we have the things that we need to endure to the end, okay? And especially, most importantly, the faith, okay? Like the scripture says, the just shall live by faith, right? And as well, we know, pursuant to Isaiah 33 and 6, that this wisdom and understanding and the fear of the Lord is also what's going to keep us stable in these times to come as well, all right? But ultimately, Yahweh Shema Shai is in control, okay, and especially going forward into Jacob's trouble, all right, when Esau is going to come down great wrath, as we read in Isaiah 59, the Lord's going to lift up a standard against this devil for our sake, okay. And let me get this. This is let me X this out. This is Psalm chapter 20 and verse 1. Okay, prayer for victory over enemies. Okay, a psalm by our forefather King David. He says, "The Lord Yahweh Bashemal Shai hear thee in the day of trouble." Okay, it says the name of the power of Jacob, Yahweh Bashemal Shai, defend thee. See that? And so another major aspect of us, the hopeful elect, being defended, all right, in these outer days, is through what? The name of our power, the name of the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which is what? Yahweh Bashemal Shai. Okay, in Allah Shwan Quadash. Okay, so calling on the name of Yahweh Bashemal Shai is also going to be another major aspect of us being defended against Esau's great wrath. See that? And calling on the name of Yahweh Bashemal Shai is going to lead to the standard being lifted up for you. You see, because as you have certain Israelite camps, even to this very day in 2026, still playing with the name of the Lord, right? Still, calling on, Most High and Christ bless, calling on JC, right? Calling on Yah and all these other bugged out names that some of these, camps, wayward camps call on. Hey, the only name that's going to be, called on and praised in that day, that's going to defend the elect is none other than the name of Yahweh Bashemal Shai, and that's it. You see that? Because we're going to need that name to defend us in that day. All right. Hey, everything that Esau's getting ready to come at us with, okay, you're not gonna be able to withstand by way of carnal means. Taking up the sword and or stocking up on food and goods and gold and silver, okay, to withstand against Esau's great wrath. No, okay. The only thing that's going to protect you from all hell breaking loose and Esau on the left hand side coming with all this destruction and madness, okay, is if you're protected from on high from Yahweh Shai, and ultimately if you're covered by the blood of Mashiach Yahushai, which that's only reserved for the elect, okay. The blood of Yahushua is only reserved to cover the elect, and Lord willing, I pray that I'm of that number. You see that? So yeah, so I just want to go into that, prophecy watch. ICE is getting ready to start going from door to door, okay, like madmen sparing none. All right, and so hey, we the hopeful elect, continue to stay prayed up, continue to be locked in the spirit, right? Continue to build yourself up on your most holy faith. Continue calling on the name of Yahweh Shema Shai. Okay, praying for the Lord to increase his ministry from glory to glory. Okay, perform more miracles and more healings. All right, perform divine intervention for the elect. Okay, because this type of power that we're gonna need from on high against the left hand side. You see that? To ultimately endure to the end and get the victory that's written according to the scriptures. You see that? So so with that, Lord willing, this video is edifying, and until next time, shalom.